Today's presenters are Mary Krzyzewski, Customer Service Director in the E-commerce Customer Connect Group at Vitacost, and Tara Sporer, SVP of Marketing at Moxie. Tara will be hosting our discussion today. Tara, let's turn it over to you.
Jillian, thanks for joining, Mary. We appreciate the partnership we've had over the past couple years with Vitacost, and we appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise with us today. Let's start out. First of all, Vitacost has a great company culture, having visited the office several times. Can you share with us a little bit about the company?
Absolutely. I'll run through a little brief housekeeping tip. I am actually located in Lexington, North Carolina, and attached to one of our fulfillment centers. So in the background, you might hear some beeping noises. You might hear some what sounds like a horn blowing. That's the orders going through their different order fulfillment processes, as well as forklifts moving products. So I'll apologize in advance for that, but it will add to the reality of the experience today. Vitacost has been in business since 1994. We're a leading online retailer today, but we actually started out as a catalog company. A lot of our customers that we have with us today started out with us as catalog customers, so we're really happy to keep them in the franchise for as long as we have kept them. We have a huge product selection. We currently carry over 40,000 SKUs, and we are, like I said, we're totally e-commerce. In the digital space where we play, the customer relationship is absolutely, positively the most critical component. So that's a little bit of information about us as an organization. One of the things that I wanted to share that you may not know, and that the attendees may not know, is that Vitacost was selected as a 2019 top retailer for customer service by Newsweek. We were selected as top out of all online retailers in sports and fitness, and we actually received the second highest customer service score of all of the 93 online retailers. And that's something that we are extremely, extremely proud of, because we know in our space the customer experience is critical.
That's great to hear. That's great. Can you tell us something that folks may not know about Vitacost, about the business and how you guys operate?
Oh, absolutely. So, as you know, the brick and mortar space is really kind of dwindling down, and we compete with them. We're an e-commerce company, but we have no storefronts. So every time we speak to a customer via phone, email, or chat, we are the face of the company for them. The customer experience in that space is critical so that we can differentiate our brand and so that we can keep the customers coming back. And I think that's really an unusual space, especially in the vitamins and supplement space. That's an unusual experience to have only e-commerce and not really brick and mortar.
Yeah, agreed. And I think a lot of companies are having added pressure to the digital or online environment due to store closures. Can you talk about how you've stayed competitive given the online-only environment that you're in?
Absolutely, Tara. We really try to provide a strong selection for the customer. We want to give them a wide variety of products and brands. We operate under wanting to provide an endless aisle for the customer. So if you go into your local grocery store, you might be able to purchase 2 different types of Bob's Red Mill products. If you go online to the Vitacost.com website, you'll see significantly more products that you can purchase with that name brand. We want to make sure that it's easy for you to shop with us, so we focus on providing easy search options and a really easy buying experience. If you have an issue when you're shopping with us online, we want to make it easy for you as a customer to solve your problem. So we rely on the Moxie tools that we have in place to help us make that portion of the shopping experience really, really easy from a customer experience perspective.
And given your history, starting out, catalog, going digital, it was critical for you guys to move, I know, from phone-based primarily to a digital environment. Can you talk about why that was important to you?
certainly. Digital is really a time saver for the customer. So in our chat space, we actually answer our chats within 1 minute. You could wait 2 or more minutes in the phone space to have your call answered. Chat agents are able to serve multiple customers at one time. So whereas you would have one phone agent talking to one customer, you could have one chat agent talking to 3 customers without any negative impact to the customer experience or the customer service that they're receiving. And we do that through our Moxie platform. It makes it really easy for us. In terms of the email space, we actually respond to emails within 24 hours of receiving them, so the customer can decide which priority they want their request to have. If it's a critical priority and they really need to speak with us, they can chat us or they can call us. Either way, we're there for them, and we want to listen and help them to solve whatever their concern is. We also have within the Moxie space, we have a self-service portal. The customers can go there to check tracking on their package. They can request a refund or replacement, and that is seconds. That's just with a few clicks. So we continue to encourage our customers to use our self-service portal. It's really a time saver for them. We're very pleased in 2018. We actually increased our usage. In prior years, it was about 30% of our customers that wanted refunds or replacements went to our service portal. That number jumped up to 41% in 2018. And we're continuing to do what we can to drive customers to that experience because it is such a time saver for them, and we want them to have a seamless, easy, effortless experience with us.
Tara, did we lose you by chance?
No, I'm here. Sounds like it was a critical, that mute button working good for me. That was a critical for you to migrate customers to self-service. Can you talk about how you train customers or what you implemented to do that?
Certainly. We actually did a lot of listening to our customers and asking them for our feedback as we went through different iterations of the customer service portal. So when we first implemented it, we looked at what we thought the customer might like to see, and we put a process in place so that they could make their choices of what they wanted to do and kind of go through the process. We made changes to the customer service portal a couple of years in, and we said to our customers, what do you think about this? Can you go online and can you place an order and can you request a refund or replacement, and let us know how the process went for you? It's really important to listen to the customer and listen to the customer feedback. What you think in the organization might be the easiest and best solution. Sometimes you could be surprised by customer feedback in that space. So for us, listening to the customer, asking them how they like the self-service options, and incorporating their feedback is critical. We also added it as a part of our communication with the customer. So if a customer would chat us, email us, or contact us on the phone and say, I'd like to do a refund or replacement, remember, 96% of our orders are over the web, so 96% of our customers have used the web to place their orders. So when they reach out to us to process a refund or replacement, we would just ask them general questions around the customer service portal and did they know it was there. We would ask for their permission to walk them through how to use the portal so that they knew how easy it was. We would also encourage our associates to use the portal so that they got very familiar as an end user and they could walk the customers through it. And in many instances, the customers would say, you know what, that's awesome. I'm going to use that the next time around. And that's really one of the strongest ways that we've been able to drive the usage up from the 30s where it was previously up to, you know, trending in the 40 to maybe low 40% range. So that's really an important component for us. We also put the portal link on our messaging. So it goes on your packing slip. It's actually, you can go into customer service on the website. It's actually in the customer service space on the website. There's a lot of places where you can see the link and you can just go directly to that link and it'll help you through whatever self-service option you're looking for.
So when you talk about that you trained customers really and had agents help drive customers to the self-service option, we were just talking about how the company works as we were joining the session today, and you have shelves and products for agents to touch and feel to help them be more effective. Can you elaborate on that and then talk about how agents have what their experience is using the chat channel specifically.
Yes, so we have in our headquarters office, actually, we have shelves that have the actual products on them, so the agent can touch it, they can feel it, they can shake it, they can kind of see what the look and feel of the actual product is. So we encourage them to do that. We also encourage them to use the self-service portal. We encourage them to familiarize themselves with the chat space. One of the things that we were talking about earlier that we do here in the Lexington office when we bring in customer service agents is we take them on a complete tour of the fulfillment center, and for anybody who comes into a lead level or a leader level position, we actually have them spend a day in the fulfillment center as a fulfillment center representative. I actually did it when I started with the company, and it's really a great and unique experience because it helps you understand the packing process, it helps you understand the quality checking process, and it really helps you understand the endless aisle experience that we truly have for our customers. So we try to ensure that everybody is familiar with our tools and that they are using them the same as the customer potentially would use them.
Mm-hmm. And how have agents responded to using the chat channel? What's it like training a new agent up, and what skills do you look for in that type of agent? We often get asked that question from customers.
Absolutely. So when we are actually doing our interview process, we do a mock chat with the agent. We actually have 2 laptops set up, and we have them, they're in the same room, they're facing each other, but the person who is the interviewer is actually pretending to be a customer going through the Moxie chat space, and then we actually have the agent that's being interviewed in the Moxie chat space and responding back to that email. We really look for agents that are able to, they have to be able to multitask. That's really an important component. So we may chat them in Skype messaging as well as using the Moxie channel. So we see how do they do with that multitasking. We also look at how do they think on their feet, because that's a really important component in phone space and in the Moxie space. In the Moxie chat space, you might have a little bit more time to think because the customer's not right in your ear, but it really is critical that they respond as quickly as is possible. And the customer expects that. If you wait for longer than a few seconds in a chat, you feel like you're waiting a long time. So we ensure that our agents understand that impact back to the customer. But when we are interviewing, we look for agents that have really good communication skills, that they're good with written communication. They have to have good typing skills. Today's environment, there's a lot of good texting skills, which don't necessarily translate to good communication and typing skills. So we have to make sure that they can make that transition. And then as we are teaching them the tool, they're using the tool to respond back to the customer and using all of the components of it. It's a very simple tool for them to use. Overall, when we onboard somebody, we bring them into the organization and we train them on all the tools. It's about a 2-week process before we send our digital agents all work from home, and it's about 2 weeks before we send them home so that they're actually handling chats and emails on their own, which is a phenomenal time frame to be able to get people up to speed with the new process.
And do you start them out right out of the gate? Do you start them on handling multiple chats? Are they ready in 2 weeks to do that, or do you phase that in?
Nope, that's a great call out, Tara. We actually phase it in. We start them off in emails because emails are a little bit less stressful for the associates. You get the same types of inquiries in the email space or the chat space, so you can learn the policies and the procedures. We let them do emails when they first go home, and then once they're proficient in the email space, then we bring them in and we start them on chats. We start them with 1 chat at a time, because we don't want it to become too terribly overwhelming, but the expectation is within a couple of weeks they'll be able to get up to the 2 chats, and the very tenured, very skilled, experienced associates do 3. In this space, I find that more than 3 chats is a lot, so keeping them around the 2 space really enables them to service the customer and service them thoroughly.
Yeah, that seems to be that 2 to 3 seems to be the sweet spot for many companies.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on to metrics and results. Obviously, it's important to us as your partner to create visibility into the results so that you understand easily the impact of the digital channels and what is happening on your business. Can you talk about the metrics that matter to Vitacost and how you are achieving against them?
Absolutely. So critical metrics for us obviously are the standard ones, right? How quickly do we respond to the chat? Do we respond within the time frame that we committed to? How quickly do we complete the email? Do we complete it within the time frame that we committed to? How many emails and chats do we receive? And then in the Moxie space, you can also use some of the different coding options, which are really easy. They're not really like coding at all, to actually put dispositions on your chat so that you can tell why customers are contacting you. We use all of that data to understand the customer experience and where we might have gaps in the process. In addition, we look at the number of customers that request refunds and replacements from us, and of those customers, how many of them self-serve through the portal. And as I mentioned, that's in the 41% range today, and we hope to drive that higher. We also look at customer satisfaction with the process. So how satisfied are they with the outcome that they received? At the end of the email and at the end of the chat, we actually deploy a post survey, and that survey asks them 3 simple questions. It asks them if we made them happy, it asks them if we solved their problem, and it asks them if the associate could have done anything additional to assist them. In that, those 3 spaces, that helps us to understand what we're doing as an organization. If we see the reporting, we can pull up the customers that said no to question 2. And we can look at those chats and we can say, oh, here's all the customers that said no to question 2. We didn't solve their problem. What kinds of inquiries were these? What kinds of things do we need to do differently in the organization? So we can use that data at the macro level for Vitacost to make decisions about how we're doing things and how to do things differently. The agent component is absolutely critical because when we deployed the survey, we actually also implemented a recognition and performance metric program. And a core component of those performance metrics for the associates are the number of times the customer says, yes, the associate did everything that they could do to help them. So we measure them on that particular question to get a good understanding that maybe the product was still out of stock so the agent couldn't necessarily solve their problem, but if the agent is doing everything that they can to make that customer experience easy and the customer recognizes that, we feel like that's important to recognize at the associate level. So we have surveys in our phone space, and I have to tell you, in the Moxie space, we deployed those surveys with little to no lead time. They were very, very quick. The team at Moxie helped us to make sure that we were asking for the right pieces of information and we were setting them up properly. Once we did that, if you want to change the survey, you can change the survey, drop of a hat. Very, very easy. If you decide, well, I really want to go in that area, so we're looking at moving into the space of measuring how effortless the experience was for the customer and asking them to rate us on a scale of 1 to 5 instead of a yes/no question. You can do that right inside of the tool, right inside of the Moxie space, and it's very, very easy. So we absolutely appreciate the level of reporting that we get, the granularity, as well as the way that we can customize some of the fields and some of the options so that we can pull the information that's important to us as an organization and look at data and look at trending over time.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk on the same, the flexibility around the survey is important so that you can continually, refine how you're measuring agent performance and customer satisfaction. How often and what's the process for updating and iterating on self-service content that goes in the portal?
So that process is a regular ongoing process, although not formal. So we listen to customer feedback and we share that feedback with our business partners who are responsible for the technology side of the business. We will have customers that come to us and may give us a piece of feedback that they couldn't find this in the self-service portal and they would like to see this. Or we may see instances where customers are requesting a refund or a replacement, and as we look at the data, we determine that we needed an additional piece of information from the customer. It's an ongoing process that we look to make the changes. We don't make wide or broad sweeping changes very frequently because our customers get used to our tool and we don't want to change them too terribly significantly because if you do that, in some instances, you actually push the customer away and you don't really want to do that. We have a tool that we know is working as we continue to get additional feedback from customers on what we can do better, then we'll continue to make those changes.
Okay. And so as you look to, self-service being an important channel for you guys, I know you're very close, very, very close to launching proactive guidance on the site, which I'm sure many folks have not, are not familiar with. Can you talk about what that is and how that will add to the customer experience and impact your business? There's a lot in that question, but I think that's a good thing for you to cover for the audience.
Sure, absolutely. So we are getting ready to deploy Concierge. Concierge in the Moxie space is a proactive and sort of an anticipatory self-service solution. We are getting ready to roll it in the very near future. We hope to have it in place during the April timeframe. The new technology lets us scale. It lets us become a scalable solution without needing to use our agents. So if we provide the customers with the right pieces of information up front, they may not need to reach out to us and ask us a question, and we can go on to serving other inquiries and other requests. Initially, we're going to adopt it on the checkout and cart page. So those are two places that customers sometimes make mistakes. They'll key in a promo code that isn't valid. They will put in the wrong CVV code. They'll put in wrong information on their address. We have actually an FAQ, right, because we all have FAQs. We have an FAQ that they could go to see where they might be making a mistake, but most of the time, we don't really want them to leave the checkout page in order to do that. So with the adoption of the Moxie Concierge, we can actually look at what those error types are, and we can make a rule that says if the customer messaging around their promotion code as an example, and that's the example that we have in the deck, if the customer keys in an invalid promo code, we're going to go back to them and say, oops, your promo code isn't valid. See, check the expiration date and check the spelling. In many instances, you can solve the customer's problem right there. Oh, I spelled it wrong, or oh, it's already expired, so I can't use it. If the customer tries it again and the same thing happens and they know it's valid and they know it's an issue and potentially an issue on our end, they can click to learn more and they can come in and they can speak to an associate. But initially, you can deploy it with just that answer to the question, and you can deflect contacts in that space. So that's really what we're excited about doing, is solving the customer's problem so they don't even have to reach out to us and ask. And then the beauty of this tool is that when you actually have them chat, they don't leave the page that they're on, because you know any of the customers who are in the e-commerce space know that you don't want the customer to leave the checkout page. You really want them to stay there and complete their transaction. And if you make it hard for them and they have to go somewhere else to ask you a question and then they have to come back, you may run the risk of losing that potential revenue for your company. So what we love about Concierge is that it gives us the opportunity for the customer to chat with an associate and they never even have to leave the page. So we are very excited about that and about the reporting that it'll provide us to tell us, which questions are working the best, which answers are working the best for the customer, and so we're going to be going along those lines as well. So we're very excited about that.
And how many proactive engagements are you going live with approximately?
We're going live with approximately 10. They are actually, singularly, they would be 5 because they can happen in the cart page or they can happen on the checkout page. So roughly we're going to implement about 10 rules, but 5 specific instances.
Okay. And we often get asked the question about how to change the content, how to manage the triggers for those engagements. Can you talk about that and how your team is doing that?
Yes. So what we actually did is we engaged with our Moxie team to just get some guidance and some insight into ways that other companies are using the tool. That was really a tremendous benefit for us. Once we understood that component, we actually went back to our technology team to find out the number, the different errors that would fire for lack of a better term, that would be presented to the customer on the checkout page or on the cart page. And then once they provided us with that information, it was very easy to go into the Concierge admin tool and set up the rule. You basically just, you copy it, you paste it. I have a person on my team that's actually responsible for it, and they're not a technology background person. They actually can go in and they can set up the rules. They can set them up easily. We can change them as we want to. There's so many different opportunities and options, and it's so easy to do. I can't even tell you. It's been the easiest transition for us to get everything set up. We've been waiting because we have some coding things that we have to do on our side at Vitacost, but to get the Moxie tool set up with the rules, it was really much easier than we ever anticipated that it would be. You can also set up different components on your FAQ page. You can set up widgets based on your most common call types or your most common question types, which you can get your reporting on your most common questions out of the Moxie tool as well. You put the widget in place that says, we know that tracking is one of our top reasons that customers contact us. So when you go to our customer service page, you see the first widget is that there's a tracking widget. There's a refunds or replacement widget. There's different widgets, which are pictures that take the customer to that space and can take them to either that tracking opportunity or can take them to that tracking FAQ.
That's great. Thank you for sharing all of the insight that you have. I think we are getting close to the end of our time here, so I will hand it back to Gillian for questions.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you, Mary, and thank you, Tara. Let's jump into questions, but before we do, wanted to give you 2 updates because I've had a couple questions come in for one of them, and that is, yes, the recording and slides will be available. So we will have all that packaged up, and we will send that out via email tomorrow, so keep an eye out for your email on your inbox for that. And then 2, if you have any questions, I have a couple that have come in that I'm going to start with. If you have any questions, feel free to add them here. If we don't have time to get to your answers, then we can certainly follow back up with you via email after the event. So let's jump in. The first one, Mary, is directly for you, which is you talked about, and I'll go back a slide, you talked about the proactive self-service that you have planned. So how do you plan, you had some great results, how do you plan to measure the success of this proactive self-service like you have some of your other channels?
Well, so we will actually use the reporting that's built into the solution to do that. Reporting will help us to understand which questions, which responses to questions are the ones where the customer says, oh, that's great, thank you very much, and they don't reach out to us, or when the customer reads the answer to the question and they do still have to reach out to us. So we're going to use that actual reporting in the system to let us understand which are the better or worse answers to the questions that the customers or the issues the customer is having. I also have a great group of friends at Moxie. I have a great team at Moxie that helps us make sure that we're getting the most from the solution. So we proactively reached out and said, they said Moxie was really great about making sure that we knew that we had resources and availability to help us set up the tool. And when the time came, we just reached out, and the contact came and visited with us. We sat down, we mapped everything out. It was really a very good experience. I recommend going that route for anybody who decides to set it up, because the Moxie resources have such experience with this type of tool and with what other customers have done. I get the benefit as a customer of what everybody else has already gone through, and they help me to set up my tool the best way that it can be successful for me.
Well, we only have a minute left. I don't think I could end on a better note. There were a couple more questions that we'll circle back around to the answers of the couple of questions, but I do want to be wary of the time and let you guys go. Of course, if there are any other questions that you didn't get to ask, then you can respond to any of the emails, go through the contact us information there on your screen. But Mary, thank you so much. I appreciate you jumping on, and glad we're friends. But appreciate you jumping on, Mary, and Tara, obviously. Thanks for hosting.